time. I just want to make sure. I'm just checking our sound. Give me a second. Not that it matters, because Paul's here. He's the only one that ever needs our sound.
That's true.
Nobody listens to our meetings except for Paul.
You get a message from me tomorrow saying, hey, forgot to turn the mic on.
Did you hear them? Oh, you get to go home.
We'll call this meeting to order of the Committee of the Whole, July 7th, 2026, 7 p.m. Council Chambers. Can I have a roll call, please?
Sorensen. Here. Frisball. Here. Cleveder. Here. Hill. Here. Stubby. Here. Colley.
Here.
All here.
Thank you. We do not have any virtual attendees. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do not have any general public comments. I don't need to. Good. Number 5, the approval of the minutes from the June 2nd Committee of the Whole meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 2nd committee of the whole meeting. I'll second that.
Motion by Victoria, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is number 6, the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Renewal. We're going to listen to the presentation by Bear and Ryan. We have Ryan here. Regarding renewal and the proposed increased coverages. All yours, Ryan.
All right. Good evening. I see some familiar faces, so good to be back here and visit. Jesse wanted me to come out to talk through some of these additional coverages that are offered. Hopefully in your packets this evening, you have a proposal that looks something like this. And you've been with us now since 2024 for some of the new council members. It's a very strong program in our state connected with the League Association. So it's been great to have you on board. There was some transition, I know, with the prior administrator onboarding, and now Jesse, I think over the last couple of years, we've probably talked quite a bit, worked through some things. So that this renewal goes out about, well, we try to do about 60 to 30 days. So this encapsulates everything that we insure for your community, all of your property, all of your liabilities, your workers' comp. So it's kind of a packaged deal. But I'll get right to it because I want to be respectful of the time and answer any questions about the increased coverages. So if you wouldn't mind just flipping to page 9, we'll just get right into it. And what we like to do with our renewal proposals every year for all the communities that I work with is show the expiring premium and also the reflection of any of the increased exposures that might have resulted in an increase. So on this page, you can see here, which I think is a nice breakdown just for you. I think maybe some of you have a little bit of an insurance background, but I always say, know enough to be dangerous. It's not your job to be the expert, it's mine. But you know, you're making a decision on behalf of your constituents. It's good to see what this is actually costing you, you know, from year to year. So I'd like to point out a couple of things here, if it's okay. You'll see that the general liability relatively flat. That's actually rated on employee count. The police professional is rated on full-time, part-time, and K-9 units. So you can see here we did have one officer increase from 12 to 13, so there would have been not an increase in rate, it's an increase in exposure. The public officials liability, that typically I don't really see an increase there. That typically you will see year to year to be relatively flat. The auto liability and the auto physical damage, you can kind of sort of package those together. And if you look at the number of autos, once again, the exposure increased, we went up 4 autos. So that's where that comes from, not rate, as I said before, exposure. Crime actually went down, and that is also a line item year over year. Even with other communities, you won't see a big spike there. So The workers' compensation, I want to point out a figure to you, which is called your experience modification factor, or MOD. If there are any business owners and you have employees, maybe you've heard that before. This is actually a number that is calculated by the WCRB, the governing agency. So we do have a little bit of an uptick here, which resulted in the increase in the premium that you'll see there from the 74,000 to the 77,000. I did run the loss runs just in general, the workers' compensation, all of the claims are closed except for one. And probably not the best to talk about the details of this open claim, but that is being handled by legal and is currently in litigation. And that would be something we could discuss later on, maybe you're already aware of that one. But I did talk to the adjusters on that and they are working through that. So overall, I'm sorry, the property, that's the other one. So the property, we do an appraisal with any new league client, and we actually do it every 4 to 5 years for all of our league insureds. So it's kind of a full-time job. We have 600 insureds in the state. So our appraisers are very busy. The reason we do that is we don't find that the other companies I've seen, when you come over to the league, maybe your property has not been assessed in the last 20 years. So being underinsured is very dangerous, and so we did do that, and your total insured value on the property increased by about $3 million. So it, once again, not rate increase, your rate is the exact same as when you came on with the league, it's just that you were undervalued on your properties. So that's where that increase came from. As far as additional coverages that I think Jesse wanted me to talk about, one, just last year, I thought it was nice that the league did offer this, is that on the autos, we offered a replacement cost buyback. So the way we structure our auto physical damage is that anything that's 5 years or newer, or on the fire side, 10 years or newer, is automatically a replacement cost. So that means new for old. Once they get a little bit older, then they go on an actual cash value. So there will be a depreciation component if we have total loss. That has nothing to do with repairs. We're talking strictly total loss. So it was requested that we quote that. And you can see here, it's an additional $2,100 for these 4 vehicles related to your EMS department.
It's the ambulances. Unfortunately, with the ambulances, we couldn't possibly replace them for what they're worth after they leave the lot. So we'll look you to consider insuring them so that we would have the ambulances. And we're fortunate in that we work with the county for the ambulances, but we carry the insurance for that. And I think we should, be responsible to be able to replace those vehicles if something were to happen to them.
So, yeah, happy to answer any questions on that. I do think that was a great thing that the league had done, in particular, for us, to Jesse's point, with the ambulance and the fire is very problematic when we have $1 million.
Do we share any of that cost with the county, with the ambulances?
They actually have bought the ambulances.
So we cover the insurance.
Yeah, there are ambulances, but they purchased them.
Okay. I just didn't know if that was something that they were splitting with us or not.
And then the other increased coverage limit that Jesse wanted me to discuss with you, if you flip over just a couple more pages, and I sincerely apologize, this is some very small print. It's highlighted, and this is related to cyber liability. So cyber liability, if anybody's heard about this, is entirely related to these phishing attacks and ransomware. The league has always included $25,000 without any underwriting as a throw-in for all of the league participants. So $25,000, you say, is that the right number for us? And what do other communities? That's the most common question I get. And so it's kind of all over the board. But I will say, I go to enough nerdy insurance conferences that cyber liability has pinpointed that public entity is probably one of the #1 targets and you can imagine why. There's a lot of public information with open records requests. We do insure a lot of sewer districts, so they would be also targeted. And then maybe the next question, if I was sitting in your shoes, is say, Ryan, what are the losses and what do they look like in the state of Wisconsin with public entity? But one of the larger social engineering claims was up near Green Bay, and that was where I think it was electronic payment was made to what they thought was a contractor that had done some work. Once again, public information, all the stars aligned, they made a payment, that was about $180,000. And I think we have had some claims that have climbed a little bit over $200,000. I have not had any significant claims. My territory, I think, is one of the largest in the state. I have about 170 accounts, very, very minor. But the potential is there. So I guess if you were to ask my opinion, and if you look at the pricing here, even at a low deductible, it's all very, very close. Yeah, even, so the million here, and the limits are at the very top. So these are the increments that we offer. This is above the 25,000, but this is the same policy language, which is a true cyber policy through Tokyo Marine. So it has all the ransomware and the third-party coverages for credit monitoring and things that you would need. And so for $2,700, I always say if you can qualify for the million, I mean, you're talking about a $400 difference, why not? But the option is completely up to you.
I think we have to. After the last scenario, that
Yes,
was an easy one.
yep, we were very fortunate that we didn't actually suffer a breach, however, doing the stuff that got done for us with our, through our insurance and our policy that we had, they did some background information and tore into it to make sure that there was no breach. And those costs, fortunately, other than our deductible, are covered by our insurance. But if there had actually been a breach, 25,000 wouldn't have touched it. So hey, it's a good insurance policy.
Yeah, and I guess just so you guys are aware, cyber liability has in the last 5 years significantly changed. I honestly don't think many insurance companies are making much money on it because of these significant ransomware losses. So what happens in our world is the underwriting tightens up and they restrict it a little bit more. It looks like you guys meet all of the requirements, but there are some hard no's for some other communities with endpoint detection and MFAs, multi-factor authentication, but it looks like you guys met the criteria here. So, but just kind of interesting to see where that world will go because we have full-time bad guys that just are trying to trick people all the time.
Without spilling too much, knowing that we're on a YouTube channel and it's easy to look this stuff up. With our equipment that we have, I would say it's a good idea to up our coverage. I don't want to spell it out for anybody, any of these bad guys watching, right? It's easy to do a search and, but I think in our case with the age of our stuff, that we should have a higher coverage.
We did after we went through the last situation, from some of the suggestions that were provided through the system, the group that did all the background information for us. That's when we implemented the know before, which is that security training stuff, and some of those things and some more stuff through Microsoft. Some of those things we actually had to do to qualify for the insurance, which we did. And so now we're eligible to get more coverage.
Yeah, we use Know Before at our agency, so I think I have 2 trainings in my inbox. It's the world we live in.
Yep.
Yeah, and let me see if there's,
Is that,
there,
sorry, if I can ask, that premium, is that annually?
it is, yeah.
If we're gonna go with $1 million coverage, we may as well for $73 more a year go for the $2,500 deductible, so we don't have to have a $10,000 deductible on the product.
There's a 5,000 option too.
You either you can spend $73 and save
Oh,
7,500 if we need to.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I feel like that's worth it.
That was
So you're saying $1 million for the $2,500?
$2,500 deductible.
deductible.
It's just about 2,800,
Mhm.
2,800 right here. That's the option people are feeling comfortable with.
It's gonna save us 7,500 in the long run if
Right.
something happens.
Right.
And it's several years of good luck before you move on, so.
I think we're good with that $1 million, with the 2,500.
Are you guys also comfortable with the EMS addition that you suggested?
Do I need to abstain from that?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a directive to staff because we'll get, with those things in it, correct, and bring that back. You don't have to come back, but we'll bring it back to you guys for a formal vote next time.
You also had the police FTE from 12 to 13. Did we go up or was this quarter? I thought we were at full staff.
We were down one.
I think it's just a matter of number of hours and stuff over the last year. We haven't added to the force, but just being full-time or fully staffed and everything. Because Debbie prepares that for us annually. We have to send them about how many hours and FTEs and everything we have for each of the different
So it's not actually
categories.
that we hired somebody, it's just.
Right, it's full-time equivalent, so it's number of hours. And so we actually had some butt in the seat the whole time.
And I am comfortable with the EMS to replace, not cash out. That makes a lot of sense. I did have a question about the experience modification factors, though. What are the factors, or is that too in the weeds? Like, is there any factors that we have any control over as a city?
Yes, so the experience mod is interesting, but the most impactful component of a claim is lost time and indemnity. So that is the one thing that you do have control over, and there are some resources at the end here I wanted to talk about that we provide to help with that. But if we have a medical only, and you did ask me to get into the weeds, so.
Well, I was saying, or is it too in the weeds?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I just, yeah, so if we have a medical only claim and say it's $10,000 in medical payment, we're gonna pay that, but if we have zero indemnity or lost time, you're only gonna be impacted 30% with the WCRB calculation. So what the controllable factor is, do we have a light duty program? Are you making sure that we're not going to just cross that threshold where based on the restrictions of an injured employee, could we have avoided, I hate to see claims where we had like $100 of indemnity because now you're impacted on the full amount of the medical payment of it. So, and though work comp claims are gonna happen, and we have had some over the last couple of years. So it's having a game plan. What are the doctor's restrictions? Did we explore an opportunity to miss or to avoid where after that waiting period, they're going to be offered indemnity through the insurance company? So you guys have historically, I ran your experience mod on the WCRB website. You have been under one for the last 6 years. So you're doing a great job. And it sounds like you have some things implemented, and our loss control services have visited with you the last couple of years and have done some training. So that's great. What we want to avoid, and maybe you do have, and I think you do have some good things in place, is for some communities I see you just get lucky, is where we have a really bad claim and all of a sudden a significant amount of indemnity, and then all of a sudden we're over one. And what that means, in simple terms, is if it's 1.25, you're gonna pay 25% of additional premium, not from the carrier, not the rate, it's just the experience mod calculated by the WCRB. And that's unfortunate, because right now you're saving a good amount of money, so.
Thank you.
There is one other And I feel like you guys are doing a great job adding some additional coverages, and we have had some things that have happened that did trigger some of that, and that's okay. When I first started working with you in 2024, and I offer it every year, there's also an additional coverage, which is our no-fault sewer endorsement. This is something you don't have to make a decision on today, but it's important to understand. That's probably the highest frequency of claim in public entity in the state of Wisconsin. So anything related to the water main, whether that be routine maintenance or we just have a backup, results in third-party damage to a homeowner or a business owner, this immunity protects public entity. Basically says, where's the negligence, and you are not on the hook for that damage. So those types of claims, as you can imagine, all of you probably live here, if it came from the main and you have a finished basement and you come down to City Hall and they basically say, well, we'll file the claim for you. I always encourage that, and we will handle that, but that can be a difficult conversation in explaining that the immunity exists and the insurance is not going to respond. Now, if there is negligence, we will cover it. That falls into a liability claim. It has to kind of fit into that criteria that I just mentioned before. So what the league has always had is this no-fault sewer endorsement, and it's $100,000 per occurrence and $300,000 aggregate. And that is no questions asked. If it's routine maintenance and somebody's basement gets flooded, we will cover excess if they have a sewer backup policy with their homeowners, or on the commercial side, they might have a sewer backup there. Or if they do not have it, we get a letter of declination and then we pick it up from $1 and we cover the damages. So that was offered. It is not cheap. It's based on population, and I looked back and it would be just a little under $10,000 for that coverage. So you can either, take that endorsement, and that's how you want to handle things. There are other communities that I know that just rely on the disallowance procedures that take place with that type of claim that are handled through our liability adjusters. So. And I do have a very nice one-page handout that I can share with you, Jesse, if council wants to read into it. Explains it, it's like a claims example, if that's something.
So we have obviously new members. I don't know who it's easier for, Jesse or you, Ryan, to give where we sit now and then what the difference would be if we were to take this coverage.
Oh, okay, so
Or like a scenario or something to
he
help.
said it's about $10,000, so it would be this total renewal premium.
Right.
Plus the about 2,800 would go in that C attached code options area, because that's what you put the 2799 there, and then approximately
But what is that going to get, what is that going to change from what we have now? Or what we don't offer now?
So currently, if somebody has a backup, there's no coverage for anything. It's their homeowners, and they can file a claim with us if there's negligence or something, then like he said, it would be covered under liability insurance. But we're not technically liable for it, and there would be no help from the city. What this coverage would allow is that if somebody had a situation occur, even, we would be saying it's no fault, we don't have any liability here, but we have this insurance rider and we'll help cover those costs. So it's $10,000 that you are not technically legally responsible for. However, your residents may be very, very pleased that you have it. So that's why it varies from community to community as to whether or not they choose to move forward with such coverage. Although I don't know how many insurance companies actually do it. I've only ever heard of the league having this available, to be honest. But I don't know that to be a fact. It's just the only one I've heard of.
How is it no fault? Because I know a citizen who had an issue and she claimed that the city was at fault and that she got very little to no money and her whole basement was destroyed. So how do we get with the no fault part?
It's considered like an act of God. It's not.
You can't prove where the damage is before or after the main. That's usually the issue.
do many municipalities cover, like you said, that this is an anomaly, like not many.
Well, they have over 600 insureds. I mean, a lot of communities utilize them. Like, you'd have to talk about it.
I just feel like
I don't know.
How many, has the city of Berlin seen in recent years, claims of sewer backup, sewer issues?
Is that something that we could, before we make a decision on that, like, that we could have, maybe by next meeting, like, you could ask Brian for some numbers?
Well, it wouldn't be Brian, it would be the,
I'm just asking for, from our end, from the city, how many issues have we had in the last year to 5 years that this would impact, like, if we were going to take out a policy like this, is it worth it? How many constituents have had claims or wanted to make claims, or, I'm just curious how many backups we've had within the city limits.
okay. I guess I am not certain how accurate of a number I can get that for you, because if they don't reach out, or two, if they don't show us they were gonna want to file a claim, I can definitely ask. I can ask.
I'm just curious, I mean, like, obviously, we're trying to cut everything we can. You know, we're making every effort to try to make it to a balanced budget. I don't know that now is the right time to do something like this. I'm just curious what our numbers would look like, how many.
And for every person that has claimed, we can count that there's 2 or 3 that have not. So there's kind of a multiplication factor there. So if you come back and say 10 have that last year, that's a big number. That says we need something. But if he says 1 have in 5 years, then
Right.
maybe it's nothing we need right away.
I feel like there's a bigger issue if we get told there was 10 in the last year.
I do. I sort of random number out there just as an example of like a demonstrative number stated.
I mean, does anybody have, or want to do that? Does anybody say, no, we're trying to make cuts, let's not even look into this?
From my conversations with the couple of constituents, they felt like they were not adequately recompensed from the city. So I think that something like this would definitely help the citizens recoup their losses in those kinds of damages. So I would be interested in at least hearing about it.
Anybody else?
I would be curious to know if there's a number of people that have reached out, but I just also don't know if it would justify spending almost $10,000 a year when.
Well, it's something that we're not required to do.
What's that?
When it's something we're not even required to offer.
Correct, and if it's, I don't know if the benefit to the whole is enough to justify the money spent. But I'm willing to hear more information about it for sure.
Could we just have some kind of info, next week? when
If
we-
they have any knowledge, has anybody?
Yeah, I was just looking at the loss runs, I don't think you've had, I don't see anything that was paid out, but then again, I don't know if we've had any notifications either, so. But yeah, no, I don't recollect so far, but it's only been 2 years. I say it's, you know, it is a true no fault coverage and it is unique. Some insurance peers of mine don't necessarily agree with it because there is no negligence, but you are purchasing this on behalf of your constituents. So this is a total third-party coverage because it, you know, with the immunity, like I said, it can be problematic. People don't necessarily wrap their heads around the statutory protections that we have. They just know that they have a significant problem at their home. I do know some communities have explored the option of incorporating it into their water billing. It's based on your population, so you might be looking at a couple dollars a year for each one of your constituents and residents to have $100,000 in sewer backup. I don't know who wouldn't take that deal. So I can share more information as you toss this around, maybe some other communities that maybe have gone that route, because I do know a few.
I think that'd be very helpful, the information you can provide with the renewal for next week. And I will, reach out to Brian. Again, I don't know if we have anything official, if there wasn't anything filed, but we can certainly ask for anecdotal.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, in an average year, what do those numbers look like? How many constituents this has impacted? And it could have potentially helped, but again, I'm also on the other side of, we have been trying very hard to cut numbers wherever we can, and this is something that isn't required of us, and we haven't offered it. I'd be very leery adding something like this at this point.
Am I correct in thinking it's more of like a goodwill type of a thing that we'd be doing for the community? Okay.
I would agree with that. I would also just say that there have been several instances where I offered the no fault and people remember it, and then they have a very bad experience with maybe somebody that you might know here locally, and then they say, Ryan, will you come back and talk to us about no fault sewer again? So maybe nothing will happen, but yeah, I would say that's fairly accurate. It is a nice thing to do for your community, but then again, I'm not here to push this. I do know plenty of other communities. The immunity and the statutory protection exists for a reason, which is, if you can imagine, if the insurance company had to pay out for every single clog and please keep in mind that if we do have something or an issue with a water main and say you don't do anything about it for a few months and then it results, then we're talking negligence. That's different than just you're made aware of it right away. It already, caused the damages or routine maintenance. That's where the immunity would step in. But it's not like you don't have coverage. You have liability coverage if there's negligence related to these lawsuits.
I mean, we're already at a $10,000 increase from last year
15.
and then the cyber stuff. Okay, do we need a motion for the recommendation to send it over to common council, or what do you need from us today, Jesse?
I think a recommendation for your preferences so that we can have the renewal ready for your approval next week would be very helpful. So it's clear that you're looking for the full cost on the EMS and the 2,500 deductible for the $1 million for the cyber insurance coverage. And I'm kind of getting the impression, but tell me if I'm wrong, that you'd like more information on the no fault, but we're not planning to move forward with the no fault at this point. That can be added at any point, is my understanding?
Yes, and actually we can prorate it if it's something you kick down the road. But since you are talking about budget, I do want to share a couple of really good things. So last year you did receive almost $15,000 back in a dividend, and you will get a 20% back this next year also. That was a 3-year until you go into our system, and maybe get more than. And then also your safety grant, glad we got that in, that's $2,500. And some of your police policies and procedures have been reimbursed to you as well. So there's been money given back, and there's more to come, so.
Great.
We also just got onto the Ready Rebound, so.
Oh, great, yeah, and they had said they wanted to just do, I think, a training and, but that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
they did, and we're going.
great.
That should help with, potentially with workers' comp time loss, helps employees get into the system to get seen by specialists when they need to.
Yeah, it's about $400 per employee that we pay for, and it's fantastic, and it's actually an employee benefit. Anybody that lives in the immediate household has access to Rebound as well. Getting appointments is impossible. And back to your question, ma'am, is very much related to cutting down that indemnity. It's, for a community of any size, it's going to impact the mod, but also, do you want to be down an employee for 3 months when maybe we could have been out 30 days? That's what the purpose of that is, so I'm glad to hear that.
So did we decide that we're going to not do the sewer at this point, or just look into it, or?
Do we need to look into it if we don't want to spend the money anyway? I'm thinking through this now, like, do we want to waste the time, or are we good?
I would say wait, if we can add it later, just.
We don't need to waste any more time on getting extra info, and if we really don't have any intentions of adding that on right now. Is that correct?
I think that's fair.
Okay, we can go ahead and scratch that then. Any other questions for Ryan, or Ryan, do you have anything else?
That's all I have. If he has anything, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. In that case, I'll make a motion to direct staff to amend the the insurance coverage to include the 4 EMS vehicles to agreed value and the option to increase cyber liability coverage to the $2,500 deductible and $1 million coverage, and prepare that for common council, suggested common council for approval.
You got that, Debbie?
Yeah,
I'll second.
yeah, I was gonna
Okay,
say.
second by Jamie. Roll call, please.
Stubby,
Abstain.
Collie.
Yeah.
Criswell.
Aye.
Lepeter. Aye. Sorensen.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye. Yeah, 5.
Thank you. All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
We will move on to number 7, which is the bicycles, and electric scooters. Proposed amendment to chapter 70, article 3 of the Code of Ordinances. I had asked Jesse quite a while ago, we've seen lots of social media and just with our own eyes around town, how many kids are active on e-bikes and scooters and some of the issues that they might bring with. Our ordinance isn't really up to date when it comes to new technology. Nina had recently drafted up a new ordinance, so work smarter, not harder. Let's go over Nina's and see how they had kind of drafted up theirs. But first off, I was just curious what everybody's thoughts are and if there's any questions, concerns, ideas for a possible amendment to our ordinances. To begin with, Jesse, do you have anything?
So, if you have the printed copy, the blue, so what I did was I took our ordinance and basically stuck Nina's e-bike stuff into it, and that's the blue text. And then if something needed to be struck, it's struck out. And then, of course, the actual ordinance that the mayor got for us from Nina is included in the packet as well, so you can see that. We also looked at a couple of other communities. I know, interim chief, also reached out to some communities and has looked through the ordinance as well. So
I will say one of the biggest concerns that we had from constituents or taxpayers, especially downtown, are the speed of a lot of these kids, minors that are riding these. The lack of education is a huge one. When they are on a bicycle, they are considered a vehicle, correct?
Right.
Maybe.
If you give me a second, I can probably find it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so, and we've talked, before, whether it was, our interim chief or Chief Paul Rocker when he was here. One of the concerns, not necessarily concerns, maybe just one of the comments that came up were, we don't wanna be the bad guys here, we wanna help educate and make sure that they're all safe. I think, going back to one of the concerns was, some business owners downtown, how fast these bicycles are driving on the sidewalks, where there's businesses that have doors that are opening that could potentially end very badly. Not obeying traffic signs when they should be,
It's traffic signs,
Yes.
but they just zoom through the intersections like they don't even look barely.
and so is an ordinance going to help that? Sure, but I think one of my biggest, things would be trying to implement some kind of education, whether that's, partnering up with our schools to make sure that they have the proper education, I think would be the easiest route, to target most of those students. But at the very least, we just, again, e-bike isn't even mentioned in our ordinance, our old ordinance, or our current ordinance. Same thing with, a scooter technically isn't allowed outside of your private property. A scooter isn't even allowed on our sidewalks or our streets, the way the ordinance is written. Noah, do you have anything you wanna say or any anything you wanted to add, or no?
I mean, I'll try and take some questions and explain what I can find if anyone has it. I will say, like, ordinance defines play vehicles for us, and it's pretty much an commissioner's thing, it was just state statute. State statute now says play vehicles do not include electric scooters. So electric scooters are their own separate thing, and our ordinance doesn't even outline electric scooters because it relies on play vehicles. So it's pretty limited, like what the mayor was saying.
And as far as teeth, like you said, how are we gonna enforce this? There's an enforcement here that says that violations are punishable by forfeiture as set in the fee schedule, but I don't think our fee schedule as
So
yet.
that would come after.
Yeah,
We would have to adjust the ordinance first, and then we would develop the fee schedule.
although I really like the idea of if we decide to pass something like this, that we create an awareness campaign about it and say, like, how are we gonna get this out to the public in a really kind of visible way? Through the paper, through,
Social media.
social media, all that stuff, just to say, hey, parents, time to read up, there's new ordinances.
I know that, like, I brought it up that, back when I was a kid, we had like your National Bike to School Day, and that's where all of our education happened at school. And I remember your hand signals and all the fun stuff that came with the rules of riding your bicycle. Who's not to say we couldn't do that again, or spend a day in school, or again, work with our school district to help us communicate that. I think that they would probably be on board with helping us out with that. Especially on how many students are riding their scooters and their e-bikes to school, to practices, to and from school. But at the end of the day, we don't want to be the bad guys, we just wanna make sure that nobody's getting hurt, because these things are flying.
I do have I'm not exactly excited about J, operation of gas-powered bicycles and scooters is prohibited. Why, if we're letting them do e-bikes, which have all the power of, they can go fast as they want, where's the gas? Why is gas bad, E not bad?
I guess I don't have an opinion either way, it'd be kind of up to you guys, because this is just a discussion of a potential ordinance change. E-bikes are regulated to certain speeds depending on your class, so they can't go as fast as motor vehicles, some can. But again, it depends on your class, and that's all defined by state statute. I don't know if those definitions were provided or not.
I also want, like, again, this was a copy and paste from Nina. They had it, and we can go through one by one, and we don't even have to do it all tonight if you guys want to go home. And, we touch base again on this next month. I would have a goal of trying to figure out something around school sometime, before winter. Again, this is new, that I'm not expecting this change to happen overnight. I just wanted to bring this to you guys, and that we're all aware, or that we're on the same page, of, yes, we should do something and at least update the ordinance. Or no, let's leave it the way it is, but I think we could all agree that we all see these things around town, and we have at very minimum seen stuff on social media about concerns with them.
Now that I think about it, Mayor, too, with the gas-powered bicycles, by state statute, those would technically be motor vehicles, depending on how they're powered. So a lot of these electric bicycles are also powered by pedals, whereas if it is gas-powered, those are most likely aren't propelled by pedals, they're just propelled by the gas engine. So that's a different statute definition, basically.
Right, okay.
So
I just yesterday saw a kid on an E1, no pedals, just.
That's a different class, so
Yeah,
so that's why the ordinance will define all those classes, and the city can allow different classes if they choose to do so.
Is not capable of providing this.
Right, I guess I lean more towards freedom and less towards regulation, but I understand the need for ordinance so that we create safety around this.
I think it's also easy just to hop online and buy your kid this e-bike that says, oh, it's street legal, that it came from China, and we don't know that their laws apply here. Like, it's easy to fall into that trap of just, oh, this one's cheap, this one's on sale, this one is good. Just because you bought it online and they said it was good that it's good for street legal, doesn't mean it is, especially in our community.
Is there any requirement with recreational vehicles? I know we don't want to force people to license them, but is there any requirement to get them checked out, to, check their class, to see if they're street legal?
So one of the things I mentioned was that we needed to update our, bike licenses. It doesn't even ask, is it an electronic bike? What class is it? So yes, that's something, but I also know that I don't have a percentage offhand, but if I had to guess how many percentage of bikes actually get licensed in the city, I bet you it's very minimal. Do you remember how many bike licenses we've had in the last 6 months? Probably not many, if any.
Yeah, I believe our department maintains that, and to my knowledge, it's limited.
Yeah,
Ordinance now does state every bicycle in the city must be registered and is being held in the city, but we don't hammer down on that because we don't wanna impact everybody riding a bicycle.
but that's where you could gather that, okay, well, what class is it? And that could be also some education. When they come in to bring in their bike to license it, okay, we're checking what class is it? Because by law, they have to have their class label on the bike, I saw it. Again,
I don't know off the top of my head.
because it has to be under a class 2 in order to, be street legal. It has to be under 28 miles an hour, or under the 22, or whatever the classes are. So is this something you guys want to move forward with? Is this something that you guys see a necessity with, that, we think at least at minimum, my personal opinion would be to at least update our ordinance to somewhat accommodate the new technology?
Yes.
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 Do you guys want to do some research? Do you want to spend some more time looking through these to see if there's certain letters and that you don't want to apply to us? Maybe make it a goal.
I think we have to move forward with the ordinance, and then if we want to adjust the letters after the ordinance gets approved, and then we know exactly what we're calling permissible per the ordinance, then we can go, okay, let's fix the bike letter, let's fix the.
That's a lot of money.
No, I think we need to.
No, I don't mean adjust the ordinance again.
Correct, we have to send it to the lawyer to have everything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think we should go with how Jesse has the Nino one implemented in here, and if there's any that you think is an overstretch of implementation that we should take out now before we send it to the attorney. I think we should go through all that first.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just gonna cost us more money.
Yes, right, well, and I wasn't getting consensus on it, but that, I've already brought it up, I just thought, I did not understand the difference between if these e-bikes are limited by miles per hour to their class, then saying you have to buy electric, you can't buy gas, that restricts a parent from what they can purchase for their child, so that seems like an overreach to me.
I believe in the state of Wisconsin, to have a gas powered bike, you have to have a driver's license because of the classification of them, so,
A lot of these are already,
Than the e-bike regulation would be.
I think of
But I
that.
could be driving and want a gas powered one, I guess.
I think if you're to operate a gas powered one on the roadway, it would need to be a registered vehicle. Even like for a dirt bike to meet street legal requirements, it would need to modify itself to be street legal. But again, I would have to look into the definition of motor vehicle.
So is a motor, electric motor that requires no pedaling? I'm still not seeing the difference between an electric motor that requires no pedal and a gas motor.
I think gas can go faster than electric.
You guys heard of a Volt? The car runs on electricity only.
Well, I think there's smaller motors in these, I don't think.
I know, but what I'm saying is, to
Well, no,
me, it
what's
doesn't
the-
seem like a difference.
Well, and that's what we need to look into, just get that information.
And that's where state statute gets kind of confusing, because they define all these things as separate, or it could be this sort of.
Well, instead of saying gas-powered bicycles, scooters are prohibited, could we say they are, I had the thought that, they're defined by state statute, blah, 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 and regulated by the statute? Instead of saying
Prohibited.
they're prohibited, they're saying they're under another state statute, and that's a whole nother.
Yeah, we should be able to enforce moving traffic laws related to gas powered vehicles in the roadway already.
I'd be comfortable with that, just saying that that falls under a different
Right, there,
regulation.
yeah, thank you.
My only other question on here is the mandatory helmets just for the non-e-bikes and the non-gas powered.
I believe
Is
that-
that something you enforce now?
No, we don't have any helmet ordinance, ordinance.
I think I talked to, something to check, I thought somewhere I read that it was a state statute for e-bike operators under the age of 18 were required to wear a helmet.
I'm pretty sure it's just recommended to, but I don't believe it is a state statute, so if you guys wanted helmets enforced, it would have to be through ordinance.
Because my only suggestion was, again, this was just a copy and paste from Nina. If we were going to do something like the helmet, I would suggest doing an 18 and under, especially if it already was a state statute, which I want to look at again, but I think it's gonna be easier trying to pinpoint for an officer to say, yeah, he definitely was under 18 versus, okay, are they 16, are they 17, like what age do they fall under if we're going to implement a helmet?
And are you wanting that just on regular bicycles, pedal bicycles as well? On here, it's on bicycles, e-bikes, e-scooters. So I'm just talking regular bikes, you wanting to have a helmet
I thought
That
it
was
was,
state statute anyways.
for just regular pedal bikes?
Right.
I would have to look that one up.
Not enforced.
I like
so
this.
something we can,
I definitely like this, and I agree with heavy on the education.
mhm,
Like if somehow the resource officer.
right. And I know we had the bike rodeo, and it was the first annual, it was very new.
Talk about the one we did this, just a few months ago.
Yeah,
That's the first one we've done in a while.
right, so I think it was here and then it kind of went away for a few years, now it came back. But nonetheless, it's on a Saturday, it's not required for our students. And I don't know that many e-bike, obviously we didn't have an ordinance even preach on, so I think something definitely during school should be recommended, but yeah, the education is huge, I think.
Would this include the hoverboards also, like the scooters? Like the single wheel?
Yeah, so the one wheels are their own,
That's like a skateboard.
the play vehicle, yeah, the one wheel was falling under the,
Because those go pretty fast. also.
yeah, yeah.
Is this something that people want to think about, write down your notes and bring back for next month, and then we can figure out how to tweak this prior to the school year? So then bring it back
And
up.
there's, like Jessica was saying, I think it was listed up here, but other, communities, City of Neenah, Ashwaubenon, Sparta. This is, and it's just a huge topic, yeah, Green Bay.
Green Bay's looking into it, I know Hobart, Lawrence up in that area also just went to council, I think, one as well.
But like even at leading municipalities, it's a huge, we're not the only ones dealing with this. Obviously, the technology and the fad, it's big now, so it shouldn't be hard to do some comparisons or even do a quick Google search and just see what other communities are doing.
And I will say it's not just the kids, I've seen a lot of adults on them.
I have seen it, yes,
They're driving.
100%. Driving on the left side. I was taught that in 4th grade, that you ride with the traffic. You are a vehicle, you drive with them. So yeah, I agree, it's not just the children. But I do think something needs to be done. So let's reconvene on this one next month, try to bring your ideas, take the time to go through it. Any changes or additions that you guys think would be good. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. On to number 8 is a proposal for real estate services for Wisconsin 91, Wisconsin 49 South to 49. Recommendation is to review and recommend approval of the proposal and authorize the contract with Fording.
As part of the upcoming Highway 91 project, the city is responsible for hiring a real estate agent basically to put in place all of the temporary limited easements that are going to be during construction. So, you know, when they're putting in the road or potentially utility work, sometimes they have to go onto the neighbors abutting property. Sometimes it's to match grade or whatever, but when they're finished with that project, it'll all be returned to grade, received or whatever. But that time when we're on there, we need a temporary limited easement. For when we get to the project for 49, it may be some more significant easements, but at this point, it looks like for Highway 91 project, they'll all be temporary limited easements, so things should be restored for people when it's done. But it's our responsibility to hire that real estate agent. If that real estate agent is approved by the DOT, they're on their list of eligible contractors, and we have the contract in place that lists what costs are going to be incurred. They will reimburse for those costs at the end, however we have to front it. So at this point, what was proposed by CORE is $63,900. This does not, however, include any actual appraisals or appraisal reviews. It's pretty typical that when you do temporary limited easements, it doesn't normally have to go to a formal appraisal because it's a small area and, you know, it's very limited in what you're actually going to have for an impact. So normally those can be done pretty quickly. If there's disagreements and it has to go to appraisal, then they have an additional fee for each of those of $3,500 and then the review $800. Sometimes the DOT does that review themselves. If the DOT does that review themselves, then they would absolutely charge us the $800 to do it. But if they have to do that, then for each of those parcels, it's up to another $4,300. We don't anticipate many, if any, on this contract. So if you're comfortable with this, they sent us a contract from a different work that they were doing, and I modified it, and we'll plan to send that to the city attorney, and I think staff first. And then it would go to the DOT. So your approval next week, if you're comfortable with it, would be dependent upon the DOT approving the actual contract and everything, because we certainly want this to be reimbursable by the DOT. So they need to sign off on it before we actually do the final sign off, if that makes sense. Any questions on this? I guess have you received 10 proposals in this after staff evaluation and talking to the references and all that kind of thing? We felt this was the most beneficial package.
Really not looking forward to all of these bills just racking up.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that a little later.
Great.
Okay, anybody have a motion for us?
Is there any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement to be drafted with Core Inc. at a cost not to exceed $63,900 plus $4,300 per parcel for parcels requiring appraisal and appraisal review for real estate acquisition services for the Wisconsin 91, Wisconsin 49 South Berlin, Greenland County Road Project. Terms as set out in the proposal submitted by Core Inc. on May 28, 2026. This approval is contingent upon the approval of the contractor and agreement by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
Second.
Motion by Terry, second by Missy, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Bring that for you next week, of course.
Number 9 is the capital equipment bids for capital borrowing projects. The recommendation is to review and recommend the approval of the bids for the projects set forth in the capital borrowing plan, including the library elevator, public works dump truck, loader mounted 2-stage snow loader, and more for the old cemetery. Scott, is this you?
Yes. For those of you who were not here at the time, we were discussing the CIP and what would be called out for replacement. as the mayor mentioned, with the library, the dump truck, and the snow blower and the lawnmower. These were all bid out. As it states in the first paragraph on the background, it is the projected cost followed by the low bid provided by the vendor. And then at the bottom, you'll see the difference between the actual cost and what was estimated, with a difference of the 34,000 roughly. So if you have any questions, most of them came in under. Number 3 did come in a few $1,000 over. But overall, it was.
What was, I know some of the other checks we've had before, turnaround time was questionable. Are all of these items things we're getting this year? Like, will we have the snow blower before snow flies, or?
We should have that middle of August by the latest.
Okay.
Is the library board contributing to the elevator at all?
The, yes.
So is that the 164 includes their portion?
Actually it does. So,
So
you're right.
it'll be less
It'll be
than that,
$12,000 less. Of
12,000?
Yes. Thank you for, yeah, that's pretty important. And actually the elevator, they pretty much guaranteed that it would be completed by the end of 26.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of bids for the projects set forth in the capital borrowing plan, including library elevator, public works dump truck, loader mounted 2-stage snow blower, and mower for the Oka Cemetery.
Can I second that? I'm making sure I'm not getting in trouble here.
I'll second it.
Even better. Motion by Victoria, second by Terry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, no homemade discussion. Just kidding.
It's over.
Wait a minute, 10.
Everybody should be going by now.
Yes. So the no homemade discussion, I asked Jesse to bring this one back. I had several, and we've had several over the last few years, complaints about letting it go. I know we discussed this 4 years ago, did we start this? Something like that, and at the time, it was a, dare I say, fad. A lot of people, a lot of communities went for it, and if you did a general Google search right now, they're going to tell you that, well, we thought it was a great idea, but we realized it really isn't as beneficial as we thought it was. So I had asked Jesse to wait until after May closes and get a little feedback from Scott of what it looks like in June with how many fines we are assessing or how many people we have to contact because they have not mowed their lawns. And do you have any of those numbers?
I don't have specific numbers for you.
Okay.
I can tell you that with as wet as April was, it was a very quick growing season.
Yeah.
And probably at the last week in April, I asked the clerk's office to send out about 20 or 25 violations. And Jesse brought it to my attention that it's going to be no more money coming up. So, and typically those properties are the same ones we got to take care of every year, whether it's we're shoveling their sidewalks or cutting their grass, whatever.
So it's not because they're taking part in the homemade, it's because they.
But I think it goes both ways. Yeah, it does. I would say, oddly enough, this year too, by the time June 1st rolled around, taking a drive through, probably 90% of them were already taken care of and cut, so.
And again, I just had feedback from constituents that thought it made our town look worse and that it didn't help our case. I was one that thought that in the beginning that it was great. And then after I did a little bit more research, and I continue to do the research, there's enough dandelions in my neighbor's yard to feed all the bees in rural Wisconsin. I don't think that 50 yards need to take part in it, I think that, even EW extension, if you went to the EW extension, that wasn't in here, was it? EW extension has some information on other, ways to help, nourish our pollinators, and I personally think that it's, does not make our community look any better
I did
for the
receive,
benefits that, when you have weighed in.
I did receive 2 phone calls that were not in favor of it and would like to see it that way with.
Couple of things that I would like to add too is, knowing that we're not allowed to abate them specific, that ordinance during that month, does make it a little bit more difficult for us by the time June does roll around with the properties that we know that we have to take care of, simply because we have to walk it first and then we have to cut it probably twice. So another thing is too, I get the same phone calls with, oh, my neighbor's grass is a foot long, and, there's grass snakes, and there's ticks, and there's rodents, and, I just have to tell them there's nothing I can do about it until June 1st.
I have to tell my neighbor that.
And there's other ways to, like
Again,
you said, if you look online, you can find plenty of other ways that are a lot more attractive to allow their pollination to happen.
I guess I'll make a motion to discontinue the observance of no mow May and reinstate the ordinance year round. Or am I just recommending this to common council?
Just recommended to common council.
Debbie, can you fix that? Yes, I will. Thank you.
A second.
okay, motion by Sam, second by Victoria. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 11 is the recycling fee implementation process. Jesse.
Last year, we spent quite a bit of time talking about the possible implementation of the recycling fee. So just a quick overview reminder, for anyone who wasn't here or doesn't remember. Basically, per ordinance, we're required to provide both garbage and recycling to properties, residential properties of 1 to 4 units. Any other properties, so if you're in a multi-family of 5 or more, or you're a commercial property, then you are responsible for your own garbage and recycling. So, one thing that communities can do, to impact the levy is take recycling off of the levy and make it its own special charge on, the property tax bill. Now, we went through that process last year, and actually implemented the ordinance changes necessary in January of this year. So we can move forward, in November when the tax bills go out with that recycling charge, just recycling, not garbage. Garbage will remain on the levy, for the residential properties. So one of the things that we've been doing is working with Waste Management to try to get our list of whom should receive garbage and recycling from the city updated, make sure that it's correct. We've had garbage and recycling in the city for many, many years, and Waste Management took over a legacy contract from another company. So basically, they started out with not real great information, from over years and years and years. So Brittany has actually put a lot of effort into trying to get those records cleaned up as best we can with Waste Management. Waste Management went through and did a GPS location and all these things. Scott has also has checked several locations for us specifically. So am I going to say the data is perfect? No, but is it way better? Yes, thanks to a lot of hard work, especially Brittany and Scott's parts. So, we believe that there are some properties that are probably receiving these services who are technically not eligible. Either because they are a commercial property or because they're a multifamily of more than 4. So we need to notify those properties that the plan would be for the city to no longer provide these services, so that they have an opportunity to get their own services in place prior to January 1st. That would be the plan.
What do these numbers look like? Like how many people were receiving trash, removal or recycling removal, whatever, that did not qualify for it?
We thought numbers were real bad, they're not nearly as bad as we originally thought, but we're still fine tuning that.
So some of the places that were on waste management list didn't necessarily get that service. They were just on their list, so they were kind of.
I'm not 100% sure, but the list is much better than we thought it was. So basically, the letter is going to say, if you are receiving these services and are not eligible, you're not going to receive them anymore, so please, make arrangements. That can be with waste management or with any hauler of their choice, right? I mean,
I would like to, just have a number or see that before that goes out if possible, please. Sure. Just want to know what kind of number that we're looking at.
Yep, absolutely can. I have a draft, letter there for you guys, so if anybody has any questions concerning something doesn't make sense, let us know. We want to cause as little confusion as possible. We know we're gonna have to get this information out on the website, out on Facebook, and these individual letters to the people that will have to get their own service.
I'm assuming that the majority of these are going to be places such as, larger family homes, like not duplexes, it has to be more than 5, what did it say, more than?
5 or more.
5 or more units, so it's gonna be units like that that are on the edge, I'm assuming.
It could also be commercial, like in the downtown.
Do you need, anything for this?
I don't think so unless anybody has some concerns or additional questions. We just wanted to let you know, we can bring that back to you when we have a better number, so we can.
And so just to make this clear then too, again, we've talked about this several times, but we have new members that we're not.
Yep.
It's looking like the average, property tax bill, is about $70.80 per unit. So on this year's tax bill is when the consumer, the taxpayer is going to see that charge.
Yes, per unit for their parcel, so if it's a duplex, you'll have a charge for 2.
Sure.
If they're in a regular single family home, then it'll just be a charge for 1.
How would
It's
that work,
only recycling.
how would that work with commercial properties that have residential above it?
They are eligible for it as long as there are 4 or less residential above it, but they're not eligible for it for the business.
Okay, so if any of the apartments downtown, they have it, then,
As long as it's not a bigger complex than 4. If it's a bigger complex than 4, then they should already have their own taken care of, but if they don't, they should be notified and we can work through that. Yes.
Okay, on to number 12, the Wisconsin DOT State Highway 49 project coordination and update. Is that you or Scott?
I'm not sure.
I was gonna say, Scott can probably speak more fluently on this than I can.
I don't know how in-depth you wanted to get tonight, Mayor, because I know that you're looking forward to this. But there are some things that could be pointed out that are.
Hit us with whatever you need to.
Sorry.
I said hit us with whatever you need to. It's fine,
Well, one of the most important things is gonna be the change in the construction season.
yeah.
And I think most of us in reality probably expected that to happen.
But
Especially on the second segment.
I'm probably the only one that's heard this though, so go ahead and spill it if anybody hasn't caught this yet. That it's gonna take an extra year.
It is, yes. So the first segment of 91 will be the calendar year 29.
And that's from Spring Street lights east to the city limits, so going towards Oshkosh.
Mhm.
And then the second phase,
Second phase is going to be 49 south to Huron Street, and then Huron Street going west to Northwest Washington.
so that would be completed in 31 then. So it's a 1, 2, and a 3 year,
Yes.
not just a 2 year like we had thought. I know.
And there's still things that are obviously gonna have to be done for that construction portion of it. Especially knowing that any construction that they do perform, would have to align with any kind of snow removal processes. The other one is the detour. I don't think that's gonna be much different than what you guys had already been notified of. And I'm just kind of hitting on the things that, knowing that you guys would want some input in. The rest of it, I think, could be pretty much held at staff level. And if you disagree with that, let me know.
I know, I'm just glancing through this too, the Wisconsin street, I'm assuming most of you were here or were aware of them proposing this light stop and go lights at the Wisconsin Street intersection. Parking will be impacted, do you remember how many parking stalls we were losing?
That's another discussion that's gonna, be impacted by bump outs,
Okay,
if you recall that.
yeah,
Some intersections, with bump outs probably are gonna lose a stall or two.
Okay.
Depending on the turning,
will Wisconsin have a turn? I forget how Wisconsin, are they having a left turn and a right turn? They have to, right?
I believe I could look real quick. I believe there was. There was gonna be some lane configuration, so. So depending on the turning movements around these intersections is gonna determine, where parking stalls can remain and where they're gonna be eliminated, as well as the bump outs. I believe when we initially discussed this, the state trying to make us, I think we kind of discussed this throughout Main Street.
Right. Yeah, and then we went back to just,
Right.
yeah.
So, I was just gonna select the terraces where, Broadway Street west of the bridge would be getting narrowed up. So they're looking at either paved or
When we talked, the green space is way in the long run to maintain.
correct.
If we did grass versus,
And my theory on that too is,
It's also cooler,
Mhm.
like temperature. cooler.
and even just the aesthetic, we've talked about ways to improve and beautify the downtown. How else do you do that? One concern I had from a constituent, now that we say that, not a constituent, it may have been a city employee that was asking, who's mowing these? Who is our?
Yep.
Yeah. You might want to let your staff know that.
well, it's kind of a toss up. Do we want
Right.
to plow it in the winter? Do we want to cut it in the summer?
But but just maintaining for long term, like we all sat here and had the discussions with DOT that the upkeep and just the expense of the concrete was, or not concrete, am I using the right term?
It would be.
Whatever, concrete, was gonna be more, and that the grass would bring a different view to downtown, and would help brighten it up a little bit. I just know staff were concerned when they heard that there's more grass to mow.
I can almost guess where that came from. As far as bump outs, you probably all have your own opinion on that. I think that's something that needs to be, brought to the DOT's attention, whether that's something that should be decided now or, because they're gonna have their own ideas as well.
Right.
Um,
I mean, we did talk, and we marked out extra areas that they weren't aware of.
correct.
I guess, what is your suggestion, like, we need to have a further discussion about that sooner, or like, what is your concern on that?
Well, everybody's in favor of pedestrian safety.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, I believe narrowing up west of Broadway was gonna alleviate a lot of that, but I think having bump outs, as we discussed at probably Mount Street, Brooklyn,
Right.
in those areas where there's high traffic area, pedestrian areas.
Yeah.
And definitely downtown where, Pearl Street's gonna look a lot different now without,
Yeah,
stop and go lights there.
right.
So I think that's something that needs to be taken.
Well, especially with the large, a post office, on the north or on the south side and a bank and other businesses on the north, I feel like that's one that's gonna stick out that you see a lot of foot traffic on.
Well, I think people are used to crossing there
Right.
because of
Because of the
the
lights,
stop and go.
yeah. It would make most sense to just have the bump out there.
I think if you recall, I think 91, the first segment is, the bump outs are just gonna be right there by the park.
By the park, yeah.
Where downtown is gonna be quite a different animal,
Mhm.
so.
There will be other changes to parking too. They didn't have a lot of detail yet, but they were saying that there will be required handicap parking on the street when they move forward with this.
And Main Street, on Broadway or here,
Right, those are new changes coming out from the feds, is my understanding, that you have to have so many handicap accessible on-street parking.
It's a lot like state statute for,
Yeah.
like,
as soon as you change it, now it has to be ADA compliant.
Right. And I think that they were sort of, they didn't even have all the detail yet, the first time we talked about
it's
it.
very new to them.
But it's coming. So that could impact the number of stalls too, because I think those are slightly larger.
Did we,
Absolutely will, yeah.
was it ever brought up, there was many rumors that went on before a lot of this came to fruition, but, there's definitely parking on both sides of the street, north and south. Was the slanted, the angled parking ever discussed? Like, could you, like at one, there was a discussion of having no parking on one side of the street, parking on the other would maybe allow for extra parking. I don't, were any of those things ever brought up with the DOT that, not since we've been here, but before us, was that,
New.
Because if you've got bump outs, you can angle next to
Right.
the bump outs, you know what I'm saying, without affecting your depth of.
My experience with it, with the state is that they really don't care for angle parking.
okay. I just didn't know if it would allow footage wise, if we could gain extra parking if we did that. But if we were already narrowing, I was just curious if that's something, I don't remember that ever coming up in conversation.
If I remember right, I think everybody was in agreement that we wanted to keep as much parking as we wanted,
Right,
as we could.
Yes.
And keeping in mind that we would be responsible for that.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
those costs are ours.
So any parking that we wanted to retain has to be paid for by the municipality. If we chose to have, say like Watoma, if we chose we didn't want any parking on the state highway, and it was just gonna be off-street parking or side-street parking, then the state would pay for it all. But I think it's important to our businesses that they have on-street, on the parking.
Because there's not a lot of side street parking.
No,
It's limited.
yeah.
You only have 2 hours to get in and out.
And if it's already being minimized now with more handicap stalls, the parking is just going to go down anyways. Well, better than none, but
Impact, though, it will be,
it will be
but
huge, yeah.
that'll be there as well as the bump outs, and so there will be changes to the downtown parking.
What is the access one? Staff is reviewing and will discuss further. Access drivers, utilities, or is that all just access during?
Like access to the road during construction.
So some of
Overseas
the driveways that are, that actually the DOT has called out, I believe there was 3 different circumstances. One was done by Shepherd's, I think BP had one, and I think the Krause Mobile, they would be adjusting those driveways to more of a standard 36-foot commercial rather than 54 feet wide.
Are they doing anything on that intersection where that pillar always gets taken off? Is that being addressed at all, by Crowley's? On the right turn heading north?
I think that's still being kind of designed yet.
Okay.
There was
Can we
discussion
put
about
something to rest though? We're not getting a roundabout there.
that is true. we are-
Okay, good, thank you.
Oh, come on.
But yeah, that's all stuff that still needs to be considered. There's some of you might remember I think there was at least two options that they had. Making that northbound lane straight and turn, to accommodate the turning for semis. And then the other alternative was to, basically pay Krause to have some of their property so you can make a wider.
Yeah.
Turn lane, so.
Can we just correct that Caprone Street intersection on that page?
All my apologies to
I don't know if that's you or the next page. This one.
Oh, that's them.
Yeah, that's not a, that's why we live.
I mean, are we getting new signs now too? I don't know. Being renamed.
I guess moving on to the backside of that page is the crosswalk. That's been a kind of a hot topic too. So there are some things that they would like some, verification on. Once again, to go back to, is this something we really want to hash out right now? Or, did you guys want to take a little time? The specific areas?
I mean, this might, what do you need to know from us for the crosswalk? Is it a bunch of them or is it?
I don't know that I really,
Okay.
I just wanted to see if there was anything in there that you may disagree. Again, they're giving us what they determine to be safe. They're obviously making any intersection less safe than what it should be.
Where's South Street?
Who?
South Street?
Down by Dollar General
Yeah,
area.
Is that down to the city garage? No, that's Front Street.
South Street is feed mill,
Okay.
Turkeys.
Are the south curb ramps needed for any future sidewalk to the south? If not, we could end the sidewalk on the north side of South Street too.
Some of these are basically cleaning up some willy-nilly crosswalks that probably aren't as safest as it could be. Especially when you get into the intersections that don't have right angles, if that makes sense.
Fox Street. Where's Fox Street?
Alley,
There's Fox.
Wetland.
Oh, that one, the shortcut road. We call it a shortcut. Side road or driveway? The one-way you mean that goes north down to the river? Down?
Yeah, yep. Oh wait, no, I was thinking of Mill Street. No, which one is Fox Street?
Is it Fox Street right next to us?
This is
It's
Fox
City
Alley.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to ask them what that is. They might have,
Two streets
yeah.
mixed up.
I just can't think of one that has a mid-block crossing. But the mid-block crossing is right here.
Right here, it comes out right in the middle of the block.
Comes out in the middle.
Yeah, but that's
I think
Fox
that's
Alley.
Fox Alley.
No,
On the
it's
other
west.
side of the block.
According to Google Maps, it's Fox Street.
And it's asking, is it a side road or a driveway, which I've always wondered too. Is that a driveway or is that an actual road?
I feel like I always thought it was a driveway for the police department.
I know. Yeah, just a driveway. Oh, it is.
It's signed Fox Alley, I'm not sure.
It says Fox Street.
Isn't Fox Alley the one?
But then
by
it turns Fox Alley by,
Part of it, yeah.
Fox Street is one behind us. Fox Alley is south.
Yeah, but that's not in the project.
Right.
So it must be Fox
It's different.
Street.
So it's gotta be Fox Street, which is behind us, yeah. I was Fox Alley. Okay.
I guess I would take.
Who actually drives past that through there that's not an officer or DPW?
I've never done it because I always thought it was just the cops
Yeah.
and I'd get in trouble if I went there.
Doesn't the ladies, doesn't he access someone? Isn't it?
The apartments above what used to be.
Yeah, private has your-
Probably parked there, and went through there, but.
Delivery trucks for jobs and stuff.
It is a side road, we don't need to reserve.
I would just take the crosswalk out. That's what I would do.
Crosswalk where?
Take Fox Street crosswalk out.
Oh.
Out.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bump out right next to each other.
Yeah.
Do we all have a consensus on that?
To take out the mid-block crossing, yeah. The Fox Street, we don't need crossing there.
There you go, Scott.
I think that's perfect.
This currently, commercial street, this currently has the overhead flashing lights. Should the flashing lights be replaced or moved to a different location?
Knowing that that's all gonna be narrowed up and more pedestrian friendly, I think that should go away.
I think that anything it should on Mount Street. I think we need more lighting at Mount Street. That there's several nights that I would drive, you can't see anything right there.
All the lights on Main Street
Uh-huh.
need to be replaced.
Keep in mind though that that flashing yellow light is not even up to code anymore. So
And they
if-
put one on where the pedestrians can actually hit the
Right.
button and
Yeah,
And the flashing isn't
no,
DOT spec either anymore, so.
I think Mount Street's a great place for that. That's a lot of people crossing.
mhm,
But yeah, remove it commercial.
To remove a commercial, can we get some sort of lighting at Mount even with the bump outs? I thought we talked about that.
yeah.
And those lights, if that's what's determined is gonna be, it's gonna look a lot different.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does say that they would be replaced with standard lighting. From Mount Street to Spring Street, decorative lighting.
that's the lighting that we
No, that's
discussed
lighting in
already.
general, we're talking about like the pedestrian,
Yeah.
but not Mount.
We had to make that decision a few months back.
I thought that's what we went.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But the safety lighting would be different.
So if you wanted to take a look at the lighting, I know that was, a pretty hot topic on the 91 segment. I believe, if I remember correctly, that at the time it was discussed to leave decorative lighting where it is.
Yeah.
Not necessarily anything that looks the same.
Right.
But I also did ask if, you're traveling through another municipality or village or whatever it may be, maybe they had some new construction done.
Snaps.
If you see a lamp post that really catches your eye, shoot me an email, send me a picture. It'd be nice to get some good ideas on what we're
Mhm.
looking for.
Not the ones we have, they're too dark.
They are not the best. Typically, what you're gonna find is, lighting that's more downward rather than all over the place, like what we have currently.
A steam pipe, are we touching on
Sorry.
that? Steam pipes?
There are places where, yeah, we've found steam pipe. I don't know if you've noticed East Park Avenue, the short trenches that you'll see going the length of the road. That was all collapsed steam pipe at one point. So we don't know what we're gonna find in that
It's gonna be
road.
fun.
Wow.
Do you need anything else from us or any other decisions? Do we,
I don't think so. I do know that this is probably gonna be up for pretty lengthy discussions.
Do we have- do we have any meetings scheduled? Do we have DOT meetings? Do you remember?
Yeah,
I think it got pushed back.
yeah, they pushed it back a couple of times. I know that the next community one, they had talked about it in the summer, but then they said that it might make sense to have our real estate, company in place and that contract implemented so that they could be at those meetings, and then if people had questions about the temporary limited easements and things, they'd have them right there to talk to. So I'm thinking towards the end of summer, maybe early fall, will be the next public and maybe officials meeting.
It'd be nice if we could get plenty of officials for this segment of the project to maybe put it in their ears at that time, so they know what we're expecting of them. I think that actually falls in the timeline, doesn't it, Jesse? If I remember,
The officials meeting,
yeah.
I think they tried to do it real close to before the public meeting.
I guess I just wanted to put some of this back in your
Yeah.
train of thought again, so.
It hasn't left, Scott. We hear about it often. Not from you, but from everybody else. Okay, let's move on to number 13, the residency requirements of committee, board, and commission members. Jesse.
So you had requested that both the Police and Fire Commission as well as the Sewer and Water Commissions give their thoughts on whether or not residency should continue to be a requirement to serve on those boards. Both of those commissions made a recommendation to the council that they feel that residency is important to serve on their commissions. The water and sewer specifically talked about the fact that water and sewer for our community only serves our community. We don't serve any of the towns or anything, so they feel that those that are impacted by the system should serve the system. And then the Police and Fire Commission noted that they really have not had problems with finding people to serve on that commission, and that they feel that the police department especially is the Berlin Police Department. While it does, of course, have mutual aid agreements with our other communities, it's still the Berlin Police Department. And the fire department is the Berlin Fire Department, although we do service other townships and things, but that's as per contract. So the commission suggested in the recommendation that they feel residency could remain for those commissions.
So were we left with any after we did all that? I have to go back through each one.
Yeah, some
Board of
open up.
Appeals.
It opens up like park and rec.
I think it was parking, rec, and travel and tourism were the only two possibilities that we could open up.
I mean, you can discuss others like
Or the
the cemetery
cemetery.
board, committee on aging, could potentially be a little.
That one already allows,
Clear. It allows for two, however, they have to be actively employed in the city in a managerial position in the field of aging. I don't know how many of those positions actually exist. I mean, I would assume like our, care facilities would have some, but I don't really know. So I don't know how well we're able to utilize that little cutout, if that makes sense.
okay, so then that narrows down to the Oakwood Cemetery Board, Committee on Aging, Parks and Rec, and Travel and Tourism. Is anyone for or against opening any of those up at all?
Kind of feel like the Oakwood Cemetery should be residents.
You can buy a plot here from. I mean, they don't draw a line at the county line or at the town
Do
line.
they
so-
have any issues filling that board though?
Oh, yeah.
We can't fill any boards, so I don't,
I think that the people who have served on that commission have done so very dedicatedly for many years.
yeah.
I was gonna say, they're lifers. They're happy to serve on that board.
I like the idea of opening them up just because we may be okay now, but we have to think about the future, and volunteerism keeps going down and down and down. So if you can open it up to even allowing one more, person who works in Berlin but lives outside Berlin that wants to participate or something like that, that'd be great.
Or owns a business downtown, or owns and wants to be more active in the community, or.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it comes down to our decision anyways. They have to put in an application. Just because we're opening this doesn't mean that, yes, we're allowing everybody. They still have to give a reason on their application and why they think that they should be, part of it, yeah. Anybody against this? Any other concerns?
I think we should open what we can, limit to however many are not residents, but open it up because there's been such an interest of mainly the people I've talked to are, business owners in the community that don't live in the city limits that have expressed interest and want this to happen, so.
Okay, so you need, a motion to send this to town council? Or just guidance?
So that's up to you, if you guys feel comfortable telling staff, how you want the ordinance to be revised. We
think
can
it's
take a
just,
stab at it and send it to the attorney, or I can take a stab at it and bring it back to you guys and then we can send it to the attorney. And
he already gave us this, I recommend using more expansive language that identifies citizen members as persons of recognized experience and qualifications.
yes, if we are not going to say you have to be a resident of Berlin, then he wants us to use some state statute. And I think though that it will take a little bit of tweaking because as it's written now, it pretty much says you have to be a resident in order to serve on a commission, except for in those couple where there's some exceptions that are specifically written in. So we'll have to tweak the areas and probably tweak the overall definition as well.
Is there, I'm gonna throw a wrench in this. I know we use the word "to" a lot. Is there, I don't personally, I would not like to see a whole board taken up of non-residents.
Correct.
Can we use a "to" limit? Since they've used it elsewhere, can we do a limit to 2 non-residents?
Yeah. Did you include the community development authority?
No, I didn't because it's not even active, so I didn't, but you're right.
But let's include it because if it ever does get reactivated.
Is everybody okay with that?
Okay. Our 5 total,
Yep, and a 2 limit.
2 members, non-resident. Okay, so I will go through based on the, work that the attorney already did to say all the areas of the code, I will highlight those and areas that I think that we need to change. And you guys can review that, and then once you're comfortable that we think we've hit all the areas and I've written it the way that you intended, then we'll send it to the attorney, save us a little bit of review money.
Sound good?
I hope once this passes, we have a whole influx of a bunch of people wanting to sit on boards. That was sarcastic as I could come.
No, I think there will be some business people who are excited about the opportunity to serve.
I hope so.
I will be sure to personally invite the ones that have
You
been
better.
looking for this change, so.
There we go.
Okay, on to number 14, strategic plan adoption. Review and recommend the adoption of the City of Berlin's strategic plan.
So as you recall, for the last year or so, we've been working on a strategic plan, and, so this is the document that came to us from CP2, board that we work with. At this point, what we need to now do is tackle the actual, goals and strategies that we have in there, because we said things like, we want to increase the number of applications we put in for grants, and we want to, increase the number of TID agreements and things like that, but we have to figure out what numbers should go in there, what's reasonable and good for the community, because, yes, we want to have an increased number of, TID agreements, however, not every TID agreement is a good thing, right? We've been fortunate thus far, the proposals that have come forward, but, so we kind of got to think through, we've got some really good ideas here, and now it's time to go back through and do that hard work of figuring out exactly what that means, now that she's pointed us in the right direction. So that's kind of
Hold
our
on,
next.
I'm trying to get through all the stinking pages
There's
of
like
the
180
DOT.
some pages of DOT, keep going.
Okay, that one,
When you to the pretty one, that's strategic.
the pretty one. Thanks, Jesse.
I know, she did the picture.
Okay. So what is our goal here?
So I'd like you guys, you're comfortable to adopt this plan, and then the summary report of this plan, and then we've got to dig into it and figure out, we did things like, right after the first page of goals. So like on page 15, we have, the goals, and then the outcomes that we want to see, and then those targets of how we were going to measure those outcomes and how we were going to pursue meeting these goals. And so they're pretty general now, they're just ideas, okay, we want more development agreements, we want more building permits, we want more grants applied for, those types of things. But now we've got to figure out what's reasonable. We can't say we want to increase it by 500%, that's not reasonable. But so we talk about, we need to stretch without breaking, you know, so we don't want it to be a really easy goal that we know we're gonna hit anyway, but we don't want it to be, where, you know, it's just not even.
Okay, I'm gonna be very honest. I know we got this last week. To me, this is coming in from left field, that we need more time, or I need her to present, or,
This is what we wrote as a group.
I know, but if we're coming up with percentages and numbers, like, it's 8:45 and I'm past
Oh,
making
I
decisions.
didn't mean to do that tonight. I'm
Okay.
saying that's the next piece.
I thought you were asking us to
No,
make these decisions.
No, I apologize, didn't mean to scare you. No, at this point, I want us to say, okay, we're gonna adopt this lovely document, and now we're gonna charge forward and get this document where we want it to be. This is not a, let's conquer the world tonight. This is we're at step 2, let's charge to step 3. That's what I'm trying to get us to, so please
scared me.
just start thinking about it, and then we can take this in little bites. You know, if we wanna do all of the targets for the first goal, or the first 2 goals or something, over a few meetings.
Because I saw everybody's faces and they're like, we're making no decisions tonight.
Right, no, I'm sorry if that came across that way, my apologies.
So we can adopt this, but without
Yes,
all the actual.
just say, okay, we're moving forward is all I want.
I like that.
So as of now, everything looks good. I did look through this, and I hope everybody else had a chance to look through it. Thank you for not, well, we were not making any decisions. I'm telling you.
I didn't mean for it to come across that way, my apologies.
So we are just adopting what has been presented thus far. Is it okay?
Right, so at the next, at your formal meeting next week, I would say
Strategic
you
plan
can,
summary report. Which
Yeah.
part is the summary report?
the whole thing is a summary.
This whole thing?
That is it.
Oh,
And then we
okay.
will move forward with making it more usable. You know, like, you guys did the hard work of sitting down together and going through what all of our goals and things should be, and how would we actually do that? Well, we didn't get into the nitty-gritty specifics at that point, as you know, we had 2 like 6-hour days or something, it was long, but you're not gonna get into that nitty-gritty, you're gonna figure out, you know, we were up in the airplane looking, and now we're like coming down to height level. But staff will be on the ground level that you guys are.
So obviously there's 18 pages and I don't know if everybody took the time to read through every single sentence on here.
Mhm.
Just make sure that we're looking through it before next week, now that we know what we're really talking about here.
Fair enough?
I mean, we did go through all of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, this is supposed to be a summary of your hard work and of the community members that came in and participated on the different focus groups and took the surveys and came in for all of those things.
Mhm.
It's just kind of a summary of, okay, that's what we did, and now here's how we're planning to implement and move forward with those ideas.
So, if I may, and this may be presumptuous of me, but I honestly thought after we left that big jam session, I thought that this was what we were directing staff to come up with.
the numbers.
Yeah,
Like the.
I thought that that's what the walk away, I thought that was the takeaway from that. That was many, many months ago, right?
So staff has been, basically, we have a more nitty-gritty version, if that makes sense. Like, you know how she talked about, you guys have the thing up here? So we're trying to figure out how do we actually get to some of these outcomes, but we still need you guys to help us determine what success looks like. So, yeah, staff has been working on that. How do we increase the number of grants applied for? Well, actually, we have to find grants and we have to apply them. But, no, staff wasn't going to say without your guidance, how many, you know, what do you think is reasonable? Number of development agreements, like we've talked about how we start moving. We have a much bigger spreadsheet, if that makes sense.
Do you have some, guidance for us,
Like, say on the grant ones, like how many grants are you filling out now so that we can have a reasonable percentage? Or do we have a grant?
On our
record?
spreadsheet, that's what we're working on, is that log.
Perfect.
So
That'll help give us.
if you, so
help us
right now,
give you
people, right now, people know, if you sign up for a grant, it needs to be logged on our grant log, which Tim is tracking. So we're working on gathering that data, but yeah.
Because, I didn't know, like, if I say 20%, and you go, what? I can't do that.
Exactly,
I don't know what percentage to start with.
exactly.
Okay,
Yep, that's where we're at right now. is
so we're just
We're
adopting
working
what,
on, yep,
okay,
you're adopting the framework. We're working, like, Debbie has seen their massive spreadsheet, we talk about it every once in a while, so that we can help you fill this in, but we need some guidance from you, like what are the high points? So yeah, like I said, it'll be little pieces at a time, I'm not expecting us to clear this out and knock it out in 15 minutes, but it's little pieces.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to recommend the common council adoption of the strategic plan summary report.
Second.
Motion by Victoria, second by Missy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for making us not have to. On to number 15, sorry, the motion passes. Number 15 is the employee handbook. Recommendation is review and recommend the approval of the amended section that Jesse has for us.
So as we've been going along, as you know, we've been taking, different little sections and trying to get the handbook updated. And this time, we worked on compensation and work schedule. And to be honest, we didn't have a ton of proposed changes, other than basically some language cleanup. It currently says, like, if you lose your check, you gotta let Debbie know so that she can cancel and reissue, and that you could get a increase due to the a step increase. Well, we don't currently have a step increase program in place, and we use direct deposit. So just to clean up the language, we thought it would make sense to just scratch those two things. So, if you're okay with that, then I will prepare it for the next round of approval, and then we'll bring you the next section.
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Need a roll call.
I make a motion to direct staff to make the suggested revisions to the compensation and work schedule section of the employee handbook and bring the amended handbook to council for approval.
I'll second that.
Motion by Missy, second by Terry. Can I have a roll call, please?
Hill.
Aye.
Cavalier. Aye. Polly.
Aye.
Stubby.
Abstain.
Sorensen.
Aye.
Frisbee.
Aye.
Okay, carries with aye.
Thank you. Number 16 is the state and local fiscal recovery funds, ESL, FRF, ARPA funds grant closeout.
So I just want to let you know that I did put in through the federal grant system, requesting closeout of the ARPA fund grant. I just received notification that we were eligible for closeout. So I just want to let you know
Thank you.
where that is at. So
Get it over.
hopefully, we will be completely done with that. It is possible that I could ask for some additional information, which we of course would provide if needed, but
If needed.
right, I mean.
How many years later to go on?
It has been some time. Technically, communities still have till the end of this year to spend funds, but they had to have invoices and things ready to go in when they're aware.
Not allocated.
Yes,
I forget which word we're supposed to use.
it was allocated, but they have a very special definition of allocated.
Do we need any motion to accept this, or are we okay?
I don't think so, I
Receiving
just
it,
wanted
moving
to make sure that you guys were aware that that's where we're at.
All right, number 17.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Missy, second by Sam, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries, meeting adjourned at 8:53 p.m. On your time, you two.
Thank you for putting the time in this evening. There was lots of land on the
Jesse, did